So we got a little gap down here, you can see. Haven't been able to get it quite pulled tight. We got clamps all over the place. But there are a few spots we can't really get a good clamp on. I got a tiny one through there, but can't really pull tight enough to make anything. So Greg had an idea with a self-tapping screw right there. Self-tapping screw, we're going to tap it in, and then crank her down. Get it nice and tight, and then plug that hole back up.
To go.
Okay, Greg had to go home. He's got he was invited to eat a dinner with the Amish. So he's off to do that. He's getting showered up first, and he left me his welder. I'm going to try to see if I can weld with a good welder. We'll see. But first I got to get this tapped in. Clamp down nice and tight. You gotta be careful not to go too much because we already ended up stripping one out and weren't able to pull it tight. But that's nice and solid against the body, so I'm gonna give it a try and see if I can make a weld that looks even a quarter as good as Greg's. Okay, and now I see why he doesn't wear a heavy glove on his welder. His trigger is a hair trigger. He sees a lot better than I do. I can't see anything. I'm going to try clearing off my screen here.
Alright, Pokey McGee.
Hey, never said I was any good at this.
Well,
That's a little better. I think my shield was just a little dirty. It's still dark, but it's ugly, but it'll do, I hope. Moving on. Oh man, I don't know how much of this I want to try without him. You gotta learn somehow, huh?
Okay.
Okay, so I just turned up the heat a little bit, back up to where he had it. He had suggested that turning it down a little bit might be easier for me to learn on. They're pretty ugly, and I'm not getting quite the penetration he was, so I'm actually going to try back at the temperature he was at. And we'll see. It's a weld. She ain't pretty. I think I may leave a lot of this for the professional. Yeah, I got called out later to a power outage and showed up to work with those black streaks across my face. And the guys got a pretty good kick out of that. Well, it's a new day. After the video that you saw, I kept trying a little bit. I was moving around so that if I did do weak welds, they wouldn't all be in one spot and have a big weak spot. The beauty of having so many plug welds is that, if one of them's weak, the one next to it will hold everything together and have good ones on both sides. And I'm not too worried about if I had some that weren't perfect, which they were far from perfect. They got a little better as I went. I think, like here you can see the contrast between Greg's weld on the right there, just below the yellow clamp, and my first weld right next to it. Ugly, ugly, ugly. So those two in the middle are mine. I don't remember. I believe this one was mine, and it was, I think, the last one I did, and it was about the best I did, but still ugly. That one, I ended up, just to be sure, I ended up putting a little bit of a seam weld there, too. I did move around, though, some, other than those ones in a row. It was after those that I decided to move around. And I tried a couple over here. I tried one down here. Tried one up there. And somewhere in there, I think, like I said, I think this was the last one. Somewhere in there, I got a phone call from our dispatch company that we had a pole fire and I had to run. And I spent all night out in the rain and mud replacing a pole. So I didn't get any more work done here. Craig just messaged he's on his way, and I'm thinking I'm going to leave the rest of the welds to someone that knows what they're doing, because while I had a bit of a learning experience and I did get a little bit better on that, I don't want to do this in such a way and just trust in my clearly lacking skills to hold my Jeep in case of an accident or something. I want this to be sturdy, and as long as I've got a friend that's knowledgeable and willing to help, I'm going to utilize that, because clearly I'm coming up a little short on this for something structural. Once again, Greg, I appreciate you. Love you, brother. And I'll have to go from there. I've got a few screws tapped in spots where it was sticking out, so hopefully that'll make it just easier for him to come in and do his thing and get back to his own projects. I don't know if I've mentioned some of his projects. Maybe we'll do a, like Jen's guest garden video, we'll do a guest Jeep build video or something and go show some of the projects he's got, because they're pretty intense, they're pretty awesome, and insanely unique. Him and a buddy that we actually wheeled with in Moab have some pretty unique ideas with Jeeps, and they have the ability and the skills and the creativity to make it happen. So maybe he'll let me show off some of his projects sometime. And if not, just know that I appreciate your work, brother. And Greg showed up, and I said, hey, I was going to grind these off, but I wanted you to be able to see them so you could tell me what I was doing wrong. And instantly, well, you forgot to turn the gas back on. So that's the difference between my flux core, where the gas is actually built into the wire, and a good welder. So, yeah, stupid error. I'm sure mine still wouldn't have been anywhere near as pretty as his, but at least I know how to make it a little better with a simple fix. Okay, so Greg's tip helped a lot. I think I'm comfortable with finishing it out then. And we'll close out there. As of today, as of yesterday, this is actually the next day, but as of yesterday, we got all the welds done, and it is ready to go. Some of my early ones were ugly. I forgot to turn the shield gas on, and Greg helped me out with that, and after he showed me that, I finished out the welds. Still not as pretty as some of his, but I think there were like a lot of these are a little bit thicker. Like, there we go. A couple that did. And then Greg ended up helping out with welding this back shut from where I peeled it open to get the bar in there for the tailgate hinges. I still need to, I don't know if the video will show it, but I still need to clean up a little bit of rust, and after that I'll finish sanding her down and get it ready for paint and get the garage ready for paint, because all of this is dusty, and all of this dust, if it settles on the fresh Raptor liner, will never go away, and that's not a look I'm looking forward to. So when you hear about paint booths, that's it. They gotta be pretty well spotless. Thanks for watching, y'all. The Lord bless you and keep you.